And we're back, and it's like we never left.
That's right. Good morning, everyone.
What's up? How's it going?
It's going.
Welcome to the 25-26 school year.
Yeah. Welcome.
Here we are. So we have an amazing episode planned for you. But before that, we kind of wanted to touch upon what Kristen, myself, and Kevin are doing this school year so far before we introduce our special guests. So I'm going to actually pass it to Kristen first.
Sure. I am lucky. I have about 19 new teachers this year, mixed between probationary positions and long-term leave replacements. So that's keeping me busy. And we had a full orientation this summer, which was a lot of fun. We did our bus tour around the district. And just looking forward to having them all in the same room and doing some tech PDs throughout the year.
Cool.
I actually got to go on the bus tour this year. This was my first bus tour, and it was very interesting to know the facts about each building and area of the district, which I didn't know. Yeah. But Kristen is a wealth of information.
I get to play tour guide. It's fun.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you get to wear like a safari hat?
I did not. I did not. No, there were prizes, though, and quiz questions. Yeah.
Next time.
I was going to say. I think I'm going to have to join next year.
Oh,
Damn.
you'll be invited, don't worry.
Maybe we should do an episode.
Haven came with us, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Haven. So Haven, for people that don't know, is a new addition to the tech staff. We had somebody depart. So he is our new tech hire, who's the technician at the high school, taking over for Mikey. Some transitions around the department in regards to that. But yeah, Haven's a welcome addition. He's fitting in real quick. It's like trial by fire. Like the high school's a monumental test, but he seems to be handling it. But that's cool that he got to go on the bus with you guys.
Mm-hmm. And just to kind of backtrack, Mikey is now at Slocum.
Yes. Yes.
Mikey is not the one who departed.
No, he's not the one that departed. He's not the one that departed. But Mikey's retiring.
We'll have everyone guess.
Mikey's retiring pretty soon, so that's the whole thing.
That is true.
Mikey's been here for a while.
Retiring soon?
Yeah, it's like weird to think about, but yeah.
Huh.
So.
I don't think we've actually had a retirement in a very long time from the department.
No.
Not that I can recall.
No, not that I can think of.
Yeah.
I think one of the last people that I can think of was like Gabe, who was the e-school guy.
Right.
He was at central office, but that was
right,
probably
yeah.
I think. Well, and then obviously you have like your clericals, like Dorothy retiring.
Right.
All right. Anyway, go off on a tangent.
Welcome to the retirement episode.
Yeah.
Yes. So I've been also tagging along with Kristen in some of her appointments for new teachers and letting them know my role is not one of our special guests' role because sometimes they mix it up. I am not break fix, but I am instructional technology. So please don't call me when your printer breaks because I'll just look at you and chuckle, I guess. So I've been having that going on, a lot of project ideas on the horizon for different grade levels, a focus on AI, specifically Magic School. So some of these things we're touching upon the buildings, and we have a couple of initiatives with the principals coming about.
Yeah, very exciting stuff.
Cool. I got nothing. No, I'm kidding.
Nah, you always have something.
No. I'll talk about one thing that's new to the district that happened over the summer and kind of like crunch time for the beginning of the start of school was there's one color copier now that's been installed in every building. Something new for teachers and staff to use. They're pretty much designating a central location, but basically they're allowed to utilize those color copiers from their Chromebooks, from their desktops. Pretty cool. We'll see where it takes us, besides that, the one big thing that I can talk about currently that's going on is at the high school, we are currently replacing the network switches in all the closets there. So basically, at this point, I guess 2017, probably like a year after I started, we did a whole infrastructure project where we replaced all the switches in the district and every closet. Basically, what that means is every connection in your classroom, every access point, every physical connection to your computer, to your phone, they all go back to a network closet that has little ports in it that basically tell you how to get out to the internet. That's basically what that is. So we're starting to do that project now again because, like everything else in technology, over time it starts to fade away and there's new upgrades that need to be put in place. So
Sounds like a big undertaking.
Yeah. So the high school is a pretty monumental task because we have geez, off the top of my head, 13, 14 closets maybe, I think. Yeah, and again, I'm just off the top of my head, it might be a little bit more. And then each of those closets has X amount of switches too. So yeah, it's a pretty big project. So we're in the middle of that, and hopefully, so far things have been smooth. But yeah.
So what is something that our teachers and staff notice from this project?
Hopefully nothing negative.
Right.
We're hoping more reliability. Because over time, technology again it evolves, but also with that, existing technology tends to start to break. We've had unfortunately some switches go down in the past that have caused disruptions in classrooms. So basically, the point of this is to minimize that downtime and make sure we have more reliable technology in the closet. So also we did do, I'll just touch on this real quick, wireless access points. We started doing this kind of last year. We may have talked about it already.
Yeah,
That's right. We had Matt on. But basically, we're still trying to wrap up that project, considering we're doing it in-house ourselves. But basically, these new switches will now allow us to utilize more frequencies on these access points, allow better coverage, about more reliability and connection throughout certain locations too. So it all ties together. So
it does.
Good news.
Yeah.
And that's the whole purpose of, I guess, the entire department is what you guys do on the back end. Some of us in classrooms don't realize, but it does affect us completely.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
And now getting into our topic, and our title for this episode is Hidden Treasures. And so I picked this for a purpose. I think whenever we think of a school district or a school building itself, we tend to think of the physical structure, we think of the teachers, we think of the buses, we think of the rooms, but not necessarily what's inside the rooms that make learning happen. Our teachers are clearly a huge part of that, but we also have little hidden treasures that help learning develop and hopefully have our kids be innovative and creative and get us to a certain place. So that's what we wanted to highlight during this episode.
And I think we said hidden treasures because not everyone even in the building realizes sometimes that we have access to them.
Absolutely. Exactly. So we have two special guests with us. I'm going to have them introduce themselves, and then you'll clearly understand why we chose them for this episode. So we'll start with you.
Hi, Karen Diener. I am the library media specialist at Cherokee, and before I went to library school, my original master's is in computers and instructional technology. So
There we go.
Nice.
Love it.
Me. I am TJ DeBole, network and systems technician for the tech department. I handle Cherokee as my break fix responsibility and all the damaged Chromebooks in the district. And I specialize in 3D printing. And I've been doing it for about 11 years. So, yeah.
I have a lot of questions for TJ about the 3D printing, but I don't want to jump right on the 3D printing.
We'll ease into it.
Yeah, exactly. So I brought them here because when I thought of hidden treasures and when we were discussing it collaboratively as a group, we basically thought of just a couple of things that we have, and those things can definitely take up even more of an episode, but we're not going to definitely chew your ear off by any means. But the first thing that I thought of were the green screens. So when I first got here, we had maybe 2 in the district, if that, and over time it evolved, and now every single building has at least 1 green screen. And I know my friend Karen has a lot of experience with green screens. So I want Karen to really talk about her experience and what it does for her library and what it can do for students in general.
Well, before we had the actual green screens we have now, I was rocking Dollar Tree green tables, which I still have.
Yeah.
Listen, they can still come in handy
And
for
the
the floor.
I was going to say that, like green screen hack, put one on the floor so you don't have to cut off people's feet at the ankles when you're filming.
Yep.
Smart.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
like
Yeah,
that.
so
And you could cover like boxes with the stuff.
yeah, that's actually, I have a video that when I introduce green screen, I take the tablecloth and I bring it up over my head and down so they could see that the invisibility cloak. Yeah, so I've done green screen a lot of different ways. Going back to when I was at Pearl, I had a little more of a flexible schedule, and I had built-in makerspace time during the day where kids can come during recess, and I did have a green screen permanently set up in one of those rooms. And I had 2 iPads that had Do Ink on them, and the kids would make their own green screen, images and little like movies within their recess period. Instructionally, I've done it with weather reports. I did that a couple years ago, and that was really fun because now we didn't have a still image in the background. We had like a video of like being outside of a hurricane, so the kids are reporting like they were being like blown away.
That's great.
So another way I've used green screen is with younger kids. We made balloons we talked about the Thanksgiving Day Parade. We read Balloons Over Broadway, which is a perfect illustration of the engineering design process. And we made a video of all the kids cheering on the bottoms, and then I had all their balloons go across with like the background being the front of Macy's. That took a couple different programs. I was heavy-handed in the editing with that, full disclosure. I think I used I used Do Ink, then I had to bring it into iMovie to roll the credits, and then I had to, so I know a lot of hacks, like if Do Ink doesn't work, you could use iMovie building, you can make layers. Do Ink is great because you already have 3 built-in layers, but if you want more than that, you can fake it out with iMovie by saving your 2 layers and then bringing that in as in a new movie as 1 layer and then adding another layer there. So it's taken years of playing around with different pieces of software, how they work together. Keynote on the iPads. This is the kind of the PowerPoint of Apple, if people aren't familiar with it. Billion hacks in there for using green screen and getting different effects in there also, because you can save your slideshow as a video and then run that video in your green screen, over your green screen video.
So for a teacher who has no idea what green screen is and might be intimidated to even start, is there a piece of advice that you can give them, or a piece of, comfort?
If Do Ink is available, that's the easiest one because everything is set up. You just click on like background and either record your background or upload a picture as your background. Then you click the next layer, which is your either camera or video, and you record over that one, and it will layer everything for you. So Do Ink is the easiest one to work with. You don't have to have any back technical expertise to mess around with that. It's pretty much, you can do it. The hardest part about making the videos is just having the kids quiet enough in the background to do it.
Right. And to that point, we do have Bluetooth microphones now. Our technology TAs have them with their new mini iPads, I believe that they have. So that is something in the buildings that is also available. But also, going back to the point of a green screen, I think the beautiful part of it is that green screen technology can take the students anywhere. So whether they're reading a novel and they want to recreate a scene and they have that picture in their head and they want to act it out, they can do that. They're learning about the Aztecs. Hey, we're going to travel there. Can you find me a picture? And we can put that image in the background. It's bringing it to life, and I think as a student, that's one of the things I struggled with, was like making those real life connections. Yeah. And so this technology can really enhance that for people. And I've seen it across the district. I actually partner with Christina Laddick at Sycamore, and we do a whole unit on American Revolution where they're taking their videos and they're pretending to be someone from the American Revolution and they're acting it out and all of that. And if you ask the kids whenever they're doing a green screen project, no matter what grade, and you could do it with even kindergartners, they will remember it because it's part of what they're doing.
And we made a travel video in a similar way, with each group of kids had a country, they each had an aspect of the country that I talk about, and they did their report as if they were at that, like a tour guide at that place, saying, well, here we see Chichen Itza, it's blah, 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 blah,
How long would you say it takes from beginning to end if a teacher wanted to do this as a culminating project for a unit? How much time would they need to devote to something like this?
It would depend on how quiet the class is. That's the biggest thing that we have to retape because of stuff in the background.
Yeah.
That is the biggest thing. And having the kids, they could still read it, but it can't be a cold, they have to be fluent. It can't be like a cold read for most kids. Like if you go in prepared to record, it can go fairly quickly, but you do have to be prepared. Like the kids have to be ready, they know to be quiet, and then it doesn't take that long. It still probably takes, for a kid to record like a 2-minute thing, it's probably a good 15 minutes minimum recording time.
Okay.
I would say a piece of advice that I would give is to have hands on deck, and I'm one of those hands on deck that
Yes.
teachers can have. If they, can be with their class, I'm recording the students or having that technology TA record the students. The more people you have involved and the more of a structure you kind of have for it, the more seamless it will go. And for editing, one piece that I wanted to clue in on where we have video for teachers and students that is in ClassLink, and that can also help you with editing. I've used it with students as well, we try to get 4th graders to really learn the basics of editing now. So for teachers willing to do that, I push in and do a basic editing lesson with them where they're learning what each line means in video editing. And then we're teaching them to change the background, going to the green screen keying tool and changing it and importing images and things like that. So it's just getting them to know the basics. And we try, like I said, to do that around 4th grade.
That's great.
I'd love to dip it down to 3rd grade, so any of the 3rd grade teachers listening.
Anyone interested?
I do miss flip grade for
Yeah.
that, because I
Yep.
used to put those kids on in like 2nd grade, and you have a lot of these things,
It's a
and they
good
used to,
introduction.
yes,
It's a
but
great
with editing and putting the
introduction.
different clips together, and because it's so basic, they don't really have too many options, but it's like enough to get them started. So to this day, I still miss flip grade.
Me
for the
too,
record.
but they went to Microsoft, and we are not a Microsoft
no
district. But I'm hoping that there's some sort of other option coming out that maybe we could use. I know Canva has it, but Canva can be cumbersome. I know a lot of people go in there and they're intimidated with all the options, which I don't
there's
blame
a lot,
them.
There's a lot
it's,
going on in there.
So maybe that's what we need to develop, Kristen, in all our free time.
All Canva PD?
No,
Just-
green screen, a simple
Oh, I like
green
it.
screen introduction app.
That's
where kids click.
Yeah.
that's doing.
Yeah, yep.
Like it's literally, if you know the available options, you can dig in and find them, but you don't have to.
Right. But I feel like Flipgrid had much of a more simplistic view where kids could hop on.
Right, and you could access it through multiple devices.
Right.
So
Yeah, and they
we'll
loved
find
it because
something.
you could change the background, you could add the stickers, you could do. I used to do a thing with Flipgrid when we were talking about genres in 2nd grade, and pick out your favorite genre. Just say, hi, I'm whatever, my favorite genre is this, but they had to decorate put in a background and put in all the stickers to represent
what that genre
that genre was.
Sure.
So which was great because it was so like visual and hands-on. And
I mean, I think that's the biggest thing about green screen in general, right? It's visual, and kids tend to be visual learners, like I think we all are, and it just brings it to life, and it's something that's relevant for them. They do video stuff all the time now, right? Like it's so commonplace.
Everything's in real form, TikTok form.
Right.
I don't even have a TikTok. I purposely call it TikTok in front of students so they laugh. I'm like, what do you got on that TikTok? What are you doing? And I don't even know if they know what a TikTok really is, but I'm rolling with it. So while we have the green screens and the microphones, we also have something that are in the libraries of each school, right? In every
Yeah,
building.
every library has at least one 3D printer.
Okay, great. So I'm going to have TJ talk about that because that is his.
Was it baby?
I wanted
don't know.
to say baby, but
I
I
was
was
gonna say
just
specialty.
Sure,
specialty.
yeah.
That's a better word.
Either of those two.
And he was there from the very beginning when this began. So I'm going to have TJ take it away with 3D printing.
Sure.
And our story with that.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to have to come into this district with a background already in 3D printing. I had worked at Smithtown Library for, I think it was 9 years or so, and it was still like in its infancy there. There was like a lending program through Suffolk Cooperative Library System where they lend out 3D printers to the districts. And I kind of took right to it, and I loved everything about it. And I trained a lot of the staff on them, and we eventually got them for the 4 branches in Smithtown. And then like a year or two later, I decided to upgrade them to a different model, something a little more, a little quieter, a little more reliable, and something I can build myself. And that just kind of snowballed, I don't know, like the next 8 years of my life. I loved everything about it, just like being able to build a machine from just parts in a box and then think about something and then design it and then actually be able to physically create it right in front of you. As far as I can tell, nothing like that's ever really existed to this level. So it was just a technology that I really gravitated to. So coming in with that experience, when the district was looking to add the 3D printers to the libraries, which were all just renovated, so this was like 21 or so, 2021, the department was like, hey, you want to lend some insight? And I suggested we get one for every building instead of like the 3 they wanted for the secondaries. I suggested the brand Prusa, which I had a lot of knowledge and insight about. And yeah, that was the start of it all. I got to do a few trainings with the librarians, and a lot of them took to it. And
So what kind of projects are we seeing students use them for?
depending on the grade level, it's all different things. Karen could probably talk a little bit more to some of the specificities, but I know like some of the younger kids, they do like a drawing on an iPad and then they can literally print it. Whereas some of the older grade levels, they are kind of making moon bases from scratch and a bunch of other various cool little things.
Yeah, so I've been doing 3D printing for a long time. I work at my public library also, so I was doing it way before BOCES had them available for us to borrow. And then when they did, I was borrowing them. The first time I did it was the kids who are currently seniors. That was the first year I attempted 3D printing.
Wow.
So, and only because my daughter is a senior, and I remember the kids in her grade that year. But anyway, it's we used to borrow the MakerBots. Love the Prusa. It's like, love it so much better. And yeah, I do the lunar bases. As TJ was saying, with 5th grade, we talk about one of their science units has to do with like making a Mars base. So we talk about the Artemis project at NASA, and we research the different things NASA has to develop to sustain life on the moon. And so their lunar bases have to have structures for all that. And that is like the culmination for me. Like they do that whole thing. They have to pay attention to stacking and spaces and angles and making sure things touch. But from my philosophy of 3D printing, I am not like we're going to read a book on, rabbits and I'm going to print everyone a rabbit. Like that's not my style. So even with kindergarten, even though I do have 1st grade design, but I don't have kindergarten design. But I introduced 3D printing one week, and then the next week we started talking about insects and nonfiction, and I'm always like, oh, I wish I had a way that I can make a model. And so and ultimately someone's like, oh, with the printer, so then I have these little models that I created, but they have to finish it off. I just left holes and stuff for them, so they have to actually construct it with different things like pipe cleaners and wings. So they still have that idea that they are building something, but I did have the 3D printer to make that base, and that's how I linked that. But my favorite 3D printing comment was from 1st grade, because we did this whole thing on leaves, and they had to get a leaf and they had to copy it in Tinkercad with their finger. I have different, there's a drawing tool in Tinkercad, so you don't have to drag things on. And so they made it and we printed it. And we talked about 3D printing and watched the videos, and then when they were done and I brought them out, one of the kids was like, how did you make it come to life? Which I thought was like the coolest interpretation of 3D printing, that their drawing came to life. There it was.
Very cool.
And I think that's what this whole episode is really about, is just bringing learning and your curriculum to life. My first attempt at 3D printing was not glorious, I will say. I didn't know, so I knew what a 3D printer was, and I knew like things, you can make things of it, but I didn't realize the depth of which it takes to actually have something come together. And I think that's really the important piece of this. And I do challenge every single teacher listening on this episode to try it once, because it's not just what Karen said. Hey, they're using these 3D printers to print out a bunny. Woohoo, yeehaw, right? It's really tying what they're learning and researching and creating something layer by layer. It's not just a press of a button. Hey, I want a bunny today. It's not like you're using your regular printers to print out a picture of a bunny. They're actually designing. And it's not something that takes 2 seconds to do. So it's really a work of art.
Just in my personal life, my first encounter with 3D printing was in our refrigerator. We have a button on the inside to dispense water, but it's like a regular button you push with your finger. I'm like, this is weird. So we actually were able to go online and purchase a 3D printed plastic piece that's made for my refrigerator, and it clips over the button, and then you can push a cup against it and it dispenses the water.
Right.
Like, that blew my mind.
Nice.
Like, that this aftermarket piece, somebody saw this problem and solved it with a 3D printer.
That's like literally my favorite use for this tool. Like, you can think of it a bunch of different ways. It's a creative thing, it's artistic, it's a machine, it's a tool. So like, finding like little uses for something, or creating something that doesn't exist, or finding a problem and being like, how can I solve that? But I don't have a manufacturing facility, I don't have an injection mold, you know. It gives you like an avenue to create and solve a problem in like real world applications. Like as little as that is, like it's a button for your water, but like just that concept.
Life-changing.
Yes.
It was life-changing.
Just that concept alone, that's by far my favorite usage for these.
Well, that turny paperback rack has these little plastic pegs that hold those the side plastic things on.
Right.
And I was missing some, so I took some measurements and I printed myself up a 6-pack, and they're in my desk, and now I replace them as they break. So I'm like,
cool.
there you go.
That's great.
3D printing.
Well, and I'm sure for students having that, like that immediateness of it, because I think we teach them to design stuff and conceptualize things all the time, and then it just doesn't really go anywhere. And now, within a relatively short period of time, they can be holding that thing or that idea that
Bring
they
it to
had.
life.
Right.
So let's talk about the time frame that it takes, right? So, like I just said, I used the bunny. You're printing a bunny from a piece of paper that takes 2 seconds, right? And you can staple it on your bulletin board and all of that, right? And this is very different. And I think it's a mind shift for a lot of people who aren't used to 3D printing like I was at first. You know, I just thought, okay, you're just printing some object and there you go. I go to a library and I can print. You can do that too, but there's so much more to it. So let's talk about any project that you do, Karen, and what does that timeline look like, and how long do prints actually take?
Well, the lunar bases take a long time, but the other things, I size them out so they take between 30 and 40 minutes per piece, but I'll do several at one time. So what I'll do is, before my day starts, I'll set up like as many as I can get on there, and then I'll print it, and usually either lunch or before I go home at the end of the day, I'll start a new batch and have that printed. When I'm mid-project, those things are going like 24 hours. Like I just constantly. So at that rate, I can usually churn out a grade level in about 2 weeks. And there's a big school, so when I say grade level, I'm talking like 100 prints in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's one of the things about 3D printing that you have to take into account is the time. And then you have to account for failure, because it's not like well, I guess it kind of is like a regular printer where like you print a few pages and this one come out with streaks, so you have to reprint it. Same thing with the 3D printer, like you have gravity involved. You're printing vertically. So things have to be designed properly so they don't fail while printing. And it's also volumetric, so like you have to take, you know, a lot of things into account. The bigger if you double the size of something, it's not always going to take twice as long. It might take 4 times as long. So there's a lot of considerations. And if you're printing 100 prints for a whole elementary school for a grade level, you know, definitely going to take some time.
Do we need to, like, I don't know how many people know how 3D printing works. It's essentially like a filament, right?
Yeah, so instead of like ink, it's basically a roll of plastic that's pulled into a very thin, it's 1.75 millimeters, and it's pretty consistent. And there's about 1 kilogram on every one of those spools. Yeah, we have push and PE going on upstairs in the LGI, so those are scooters that are just
A little distracting.
Yeah.
Hopefully the mics aren't picking it up too much, but
Yeah.
We'll see. We have new
Yeah.
microphones actually, so we can talk
See how
about
that
that
works.
little hidden treasure.
Yeah.
So you may or may not hear random scooters.
Just add it
in
to the
this
list of
episode.
things
Yeah.
that we hear
Yeah.
on this podcast
Yes.
consistently. Scooters.
So I like to think of 3D printing the way I explain it to the kids. The filament goes into the extruder and melts, but think of it like icing on a cupcake. It comes out of a little like tube thing, and then you decorate it. Like we decorate a cupcake, you build it up.
Sure.
So that's
Makes
usually the
sense.
analogy that I give them, that you're building each layer on top, and if you have any space and it can't land, it's just going to go,
Right.
like it's going to splat.
That's a good analogy. I like that.
Yeah, or like a hot glue gun. Like you
Right.
just
Yes.
draw a circle with a hot glue gun and then stop. Move the glue gun up, draw another circle. So it always has to stick to what's below it, and it goes from bottom to top.
Very cool.
And depending on the kind of printer, it can go in different directions, but that's the basis of it.
Nice.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love all these hidden treasures.
Yes.
All right, well, I'm going to thank you guys for joining us on this episode.
Thank you for having me.
Very
Us.
informational.
Yeah.
I've
Thank you.
still learned, every time I talk to both of them, I learn quite a bit of information. I didn't know about the moon project, so that was very informative too.
Yeah, that's a cool one. I like seeing those every year.
Yeah, I have
If
a
you have
box. I have a box.
Maybe I'll
I have a
attach
box.
it to the episode.
Yeah.
So
I
everyone
have a box
has
of
visual.
rejects, things that like have,
Rejects.
which I keep for like just as examples of like, all right.
And just for teachers who might be interested in utilizing either one of these hidden treasures, they should just visit their building librarian and ask around, yes?
Yeah. Or
yourself and
technology
me.
TA or us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of resources.
Yeah, very cool. All right.
Get creative, everybody.
All right.